Namaste. I am Ajay Kumar Singh from School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today we will discuss briefly, very briefly about Tagore, Gandhi, and Krishnamurthy. Of course, they have the range of idea, but we are discussing all together because we actually uh, wanted to understand that the how Indian philosophers are thinking about education. The way Indian philosophers articulate their thought, initially, particularly in case of Tagore and Gandhi, I found that there is a lot of impact on our colonial period and the education during the colonial system. Uh, of course, Tagore is started working on education through his own uh, approach and experiment. All three scholars have worked in the different kind of school, but Tagore worked in Santi Niketan and later on Biswa Bharati. So it will be important to understand that what Tagore are saying and what Gandhi is saying, and how Tagore is different to Gandhi and how Krishna. So this objective of this lesson is to understand briefly about the approach of thinking of Tagore, Gandhi, and Krishnamurthy. Let us begin with Tagore. Uh, the way Tagore articulated their education. I found that there are the four fundamental principles in Tagore educational philosophy. We can found the very huge impact of naturalism, humanism, internationalism, and then some respect to morality and idealism. Uh, According to Tagore, it is a process of enlightenment. Education. It's help to realization of truth. Nowadays it's very important to understand what is the truth is. How later on we can see that ultimately Gandhi, the way Gandhi articulate in his biography, Experiment with Truth. But Tagore is also very much close and very much concerned about to understanding truth. And Tagore also in view that that mind should find out that ultimate truth, which emancipate us from the various kind of bondage. And he visualized that it is also important to invoke inner light, not of power but of love in this process of enlightenment. I found that Tagore lays great stress and emphasis on the aesthetic development of the sense in his philosophy of education. So that is the way Tagore quote, a day will come when unequivocally man will retrace his path of conquest despite all barriers to win back his lost heritage. What he's trying to say? He's trying to say that education should be a process of self-realization, and self-realization must be based on. Education facilitates self-realization. Individual who is different from the others, they know their particular strength, and it is a way to understand one's own existence. Tagore is also very much concerned about the intellectual development and development of thought, creativity, curiosity, freedom. So all these things, in Tagore writing, we can found that education enable for an organic connection with our surrounding. What does it mean to organic connection? Organic connection means that if we are uh, working in a, we are living, we are surviving in a nature, then we should appreciate those nature. We should concern, we should listen nature. What listen is nature is saying to us. So this is what Tagore is trying to say. Tagore is also trying to enable us that through education that one of that education, one of the major role of education is to uh, invoke our goodness and beauty. Uh, and he is very much spiritual, particularly in term of education. And the main focus on of Tagore is, as I said earlier, is naturalism and humanism. Tagore is asserting that all things and occurrences in the universe are natural, whatever their essential character may be. I mean, he is very close to the philosophical doctrine that links scientific technique to the philosophy by stating that the things and occurrences in the universe, regardless of their inherent character, are natural. All knowledge of the cosmos, I mean, the way Tagore trying to visualize that fall under the purview of scientific inquiry, a belief that nothing exists beyond the natural world. And that was the Tagore belief. Tagore is also concerned about the nature of child while he is formulating his way, his approach toward education. And he is in view that we should allow child so that he or she can relate with nature, herself or himself. He is also in view that it is important to nurture our child natural ability through arts. Children and learners should know that the nature represents the wholeness of the reality. That is what Tagore is trying to say. Ultimate reality lies in the nature of the matter, and the whole universe is governed by the law of nature. Education must conform to the natural process of growth and mental development. Education is a process of development of naturalistic life. That is what the Tagore major proposition. In education, Tagore, the way I said earlier, that he always emphasized on to follow nature. We need to, and he also focused on that we need to appreciate nature. All education to be in coherence with the nature of the child. High level appreciation for freedom and central position of child in teaching learning process. It believed that education should be according to the nature of child. It advocate creation of natural condition in which natural development of child can take place. So in a way, Tagore is focusing not only to understand child in her or his natural state, but also facilitate child so that he could realize himself or herself as a part of nature. That is what Tagore is trying to say. I mean, Tagore is also very humanist in his approach and affirm our ability and responsibility to lead the ethical lives and personal fulfillment that aspire to the greater good. Uh, he is very much focused on happiness, ethics, morality. Some of the assumptions for the education that he always concerned about, that we should have the kind of a free choice. We should not impose certain kind of curriculum or textual material on learner. He also in view that our emotion, I mean the mental state of learner, impact on learning, and so he always advocate that we need to nurture a positive emotional state to achieve our best, to create a best teaching learning environment. So, I mean, I found that Tagore is always focused on intrinsic motivation. We generally have the internal desire to become our best self, but how does it? It's possible only if we respect. I mean, we respect children individuality. So this is what the Tagore's idea of education. I mean, he is great humanist, great naturalist. Tagore is also found that it is important that we should construct our teaching learning process which should be student centric, and students are encouraged to focus on a specific subject area of interest for a reasonable amount of time that they may choose. I mean, he always in a view that the both teaching and learning should be support learner rather than through teaching learning we should achieve some kind of the external goal. So this is what is important, given that the region and uh, the way those contemporary philosophers visualizing regions, rationality, he is more focused on about that the intellectual development is more concerned about the individual ability. Student learning should be the self-directed. He is in view that the only form of meaningful evaluation is self-evaluation. He is not in favor of the external evaluation. And this is what he found that it is key to the learning. And last, the one thing without which the Tagore proposition will be incomplete, that he is always visualizing a non-threatening environment. So, I mean, this is what Tagore's proposition. How do we, what we are getting from the Tagore? And student should have the option of picking and choosing whatever they want to learn. That is one things that we can take away from the Tagore. And then the another thing that the students should stimulate, education should stimulate student a desire to learn while also teaching them how to learn. And they should believe that the grade are meaningless and that the self-evaluation is the only things that matter. Both emotion and the facts are vital in the learning process. I mean, that's why it is important to keep our emotion in convergence with nature, in our own unique property, in order to ensure learning become easier. The more meaningful it is important that the people feel safe and happy. That is what Tagore is trying to propose. Next part, I will in India. I mean, if you are aware that Tagore is started his visualization thinking in the last decade of 19th century, and then maybe earlier few decades of 20th century. However, Gandhi have a little different. Gandhi is more political, more social in his approach. So Gandhi is, in a way, Gandhi is trying to respond industrial society, trying to respond a colonial ruler. So he and his insight and learning is coming from his experiment at African country, South Africa, that is Tolstoy farm, where he providing education to some children. So on the basis of those experiments and then the follow-on 1937 Wardha Education Conference, that Gandhi has come with a idea of basic education, and this basic education is broadly related to certain principle, and usually basic education referred as education that is structured around some kind of the handicraft. However, there are a lot of principle involved in basic education. So the first things that the way Gandhi proposed basic education during the Wardha Education Conference, and then eventually it's the whole things emerge into a Nai Talim, new education system, and that is there are certain objectives among the Nai Talim, that is free and compulsory education to be provided to every child between the age of 7 and 14 year, with a nation wide scale. Then he is also in favor of instructions should be given through the mother tongue. And the most critical part is the process of education throughout the period should have some manual and productive work. Abilities should be the developed to the engage them with handicraft work according to the environment of the child. The proposed system of education would gradually be able to generate denominator of the teacher. That was little controversial in terms of proposition, that whether Gandhi wanted to excuse state to bear the cost of education. When we are leading toward the first proposition, that is free and compulsory education for all. So, in 1937, Gandhi told, I am a firm believer in the principle of free and compulsory primary education for India. I also hold that we shall realize this only by teaching the children a useful vocation and utilizing it as a mean for cultivating their mental, physical, and spiritual faculties. Let's no one consider these economic calculation in connection with education as a surplus things that is out of place. There is nothing essential about economic conclusion. So this is important to understand what Gandhi is trying to say. So the next part of Gandhian proposition is that mother tongue as a medium of instruction. And Gandhi hold on mother tongue foundation lead to a much better understanding of the subject matter. He always in view that the other language, other system actually become the region of waste of energy. So Gandhi found that the language and the mother tongue play an important role in the development of personal, social, and cultural identity of the child. Children with a strong foundation in mother tongue can have a way to respond in industrial society with a sustainable and alternative vision. Mother tongue is directly related to the other essential skill. That is what Gandhi is trying to say. The most critical part, that is the third recommendation of Gandhian education policy, is craft-centered education. I mean, what does it mean? Craft-centered education is basically structure of our overall education process around some kind of the craft. For example, if it is handicraft, it is pot making, or any other kind of the manual work. So Gandhi emphasized that it is important to keep manual work in the center of education. This is the only way to emancipate and to realize the exact education through the craft-based education. And so Gandhi emphasized on craft-centered education, which had a great importance in Indian scenario, particularly when all the industry are situated in Europe, if you can realize in the era of 1937. So he was trying to nurture a manpower, group of manpower, those who are skillful and they can work. They don't have the hesitant toward the manual work. We know through the history that English education system actually nurturing the educated people as a clerk. So they are not able to do a manual work. So this is the way Gandhi has put manual work in the center of the education. Moreover, this is also important to learn that what is the manual work position in Indian society. If you are aware about the structure of Indian society, manual work are always there for the lower strata of the caste. So once the manual work becomes the center of education, then it could be also impact on the upliftment of the caste-based discrimination. So this is what Gandhian system trying to say. I mean, one of the famous quote from Gandhi, the way Gandhi writes in the magazine, that the craft, art, health and education should all be integrated into one scheme. Nai Talim is beautiful blend of all the four and cover the whole education of the individual from the time of conception to the moment of death, in the state of regarding craft and industry as different from education. I will regard from the former as the medium for the latter. That is what Gandhi told in 1946 in the magazine, what we called uh, Harijan. Now, before concluding this debate, one more scholar, of course, this is very brief discussion, but let us also try to understand Krishnamurthy. Uh, Krishnamurthy is one of the best refined scholar, and on the basis of his philosophy, there are several schools, particularly valley schools, are running in the different part of country. So, Krishnamurthy proposed education is a process of self-knowing and self-discovery. He's a quite focused, quite devoted about the concentration. He's quite focused about the understanding the detailing through the observation. So he feel that the education teach the student to learn about the working of mind, its conditioning, its prejudice, its fear, likes and dislikes. He see the ultimate basis of all learning in the innermost working of human mind into one's own person, into one's innermost thought, feeling, mind, thought, intelligence, attention, perception, freedom, love. All these things are dominate in his teaching, and that is what Krishnamurti is trying to say. Uh, so the Krishnamurti, now I am trying to conclude. So one hand, we found that Rabindranath Tagore is much focus on the child inherent character and a child as a natural being, and he trying to free allow child to choose the subject according to his own wishes. So Tagore is also in view of respecting child ability, child variety, the child multiplicity. So that is what the Tagore respecting. Contrary to Tagore, Gandhi is in view that we should bring manual work in center of education, and this is what Gandhian process is. And Krishnamurti, on and above, both of this refined scholar, Krishnamurti is trying to propose that education as a process of self-knowing. So all three scholars are combinedly once, if we read together, we found that we need not inflate the education system through the multiple processes of examination, evaluation system, uh, uh, the way we are deciding the curriculum for the children, but we should allow children for a range of curricular option. And manual work should also be the very much critical part of uh, education system. So last one question that how do you think about what kind of the difference you find in Gandhi and Tagore and the Krishnamurti? You think on that, and then you can read certain other document and books written by all three philosophers. Thank you so much.